Hi, I'm Lee Robinson from Keep It Simple Archery. In this video we're going to illustrate the proper methods of stringing and unstringing a bow for the person that's not familiar with that, and also how you will receive a bow if you choose to purchase a bow from us. It will come in one of these PVC bow tubes. This is just made out of standard PVC pipe. I don't sell these tubes unless somebody purchases a bow from us, but if you do purchase a bow from us, it is a required purchase for shipping reasons. It's just a screw cap here, a 4-inch PVC pipe with a threaded end cap on this side end and a non-threaded end cap on that side. That side is of course permanently attached. If you purchase a bow stringer, it will be in the top of the tube, and if you purchase a bow sock, your bow will be in the bow sock. If you do not purchase a bow sock, it will be wrapped in newspaper and padding. One of the nice things about the PVC pipe is if you take a Sharpie marker or something, the writing will stay on the tube very visible. If you purchase a single bowstring, it'll most likely be on the bow. Any extra bowstring will be in the top of the bow tube next to the bow stringer. To string up your bow, you will notice that your bowstring has one loop slightly larger than the other. You can't see this in the video probably, but the larger loop will go on the top of the bow and be slid down the limb until it doesn't wish to go anymore. Don't force it down, you're just going to stretch out the loop. It's large enough that it'll go down as far as needed. The bottom loop will go onto the lower tip and make sure that the string is in the string groove on both sides of the tip. Now the reason that I like the E.W. Bateman bow stringer is because when it is placed on the bottom tip, the tip goes in the pocket between the ropes. Once it's placed on and you give the rope a little tug here, it will be held very securely. It's slack here, and if I shake the bow, the pocket doesn't fall off the bow. It stays in place, and that's good because it makes sure that that string stays in the grooves, which is important. The top cup or top pocket has a much smaller pocket, and when you place this upper tip in that pocket, the string groove will still be visible and accessible for the string loop to slide into place. When I string up the bow, I like to place my middle finger at the top of the grip. This provides me a little more leverage than holding it in the center of the bow. Now I don't want to go take a good thing too far and come up on the fade outs, because then you're going to overstress the upper limb. But I have found that if I place my hand on the upper part of the grip, it gives me a good bit of leverage to string and unstring the bow. I will step on the bow stringer about shoulder width apart, and in this position, when I first put a little pressure on it, not a lot of pressure, but a little pressure, you will feel the bow has a tendency to want to roll on you. Now I'm just illustrating this and exaggerating this for the video. On a recurve, this is very important. On a long bow, it's not likely that you will damage the bow because it doesn't have a whole lot of tendency to twist. But on a recurve, it's very important that you pull and prevent that bow from twisting, to pull in a straight line. And it's a good practice to do with a long bow as well, to pull in a straight line. And you're just going to lift up on the bow and slide the loop into the string groove. Sometimes I may pop it to make sure it's secured and seated down in there. If that loop touches any leather, we want to make sure it passes any leather and it's in the groove. Now, when you go to release the bow, or bow stringer, when you release the pressure off the bow stringer, I recommend that you kind of get a feel that the limbs are secured. And then once you make sure the limbs are secured, that the loops are in the grooves properly, I will take the cups off, the pockets off, and look at the string to make sure the string is in the grooves. On a recurve bow, sometimes it's a good practice to center the string by just doing a little tug. You don't want to pull it far, just a little bit to make sure it's centered. That's the proper method of stringing the bow. Unstringing the bow is the reverse. Take the bottom pocket, slide it on the bottom tip, The top pocket goes on the top tip. Stand on it about shoulder width apart. Lift up on the bow. Take the string out of the string grooves, and now the bow is unstrung. This is the only way that I can recommend stringing and unstringing a bow. Now that said, please realize that we all have our own physical limitations, and we all need to use good judgment when we string and unstring a bow or use a bow. A bow is a weapon, it is a spring, and it is under tension with stored potential energy that wants to be released into kinetic energy. And therefore, it needs to be handled in a professional manner. If you do not know how to handle the bow, it would be a good idea to have a personal coach come and demonstrate that for you. Here is a recurve type stringer, and even though I don't like this type of stringer myself, it's a safe product to use if it is used properly. One of the problems with the recurve type stringer is this pocket tends to be so large it falls off. So now you have to be aware of the upper and lower pockets or cups. We're going to place this pocket on, and the cup, or pad I should say, is going to come down the limb, and we're going to slide it up just inside of the upper loop. We don't want it down here because you're not going to be able to flex the limb properly. You're going to overflex the fade out area of the bow. We're going to keep it all the way up to the string groove. Stand on the string about shoulder width apart. I mean, not string groove, string loop, my fault. About shoulder width apart, and then just pull vertically on the bow and slide that string into the string groove. It's easy to slide off with this type of stringer. That's another thing that I don't like about these stringers. That's stringing the bow. Unstringing the bow will be the same thing in reverse. Sorry. Again, make sure this doesn't come down the string. When you're unstringing it, the loop here is going to prevent you from going real far, but this here is too far. We need this only about 4 or 6 inches away from the tip. Shoulder width apart, step on it, take the loop off, and then as we lower it, keep it in line, don't let it twist on us, and lower the bow. This is where the bow has a tendency to want to twist on you when you're unstringing. That is the use of the recurve stringer. The next two methods of stringing and unstringing a bow do not require a bow stringer at all, and they have more risk to them than the bow stringer does. The first method I'm going to illustrate is what's called the push-pull method. This push-pull method is the method that I use almost exclusively, but I cannot recommend it to others in good conscience because it is a potentially dangerous method to the archer. And the reason it is dangerous is if your hand was to slip off the limb for any number of reasons. Your hand is sweaty, the bow is wet, the design of the bow promotes you from slipping off, the string groove is not easily accessible so your hand slips off. There's a lot of reasons why this one can be potentially damaging. But what happens is, because you're pulling this bow really hard, and it may be a hunting weight bow of 50-60 pounds of pull, if your hand comes off, you're pulling this right to your face. And it can hit you in the ear, the temple, the eye, and a lot of people have been injured doing that. But if you're a competent archer wishes to use this method, you're not likely to damage my bow. You're likely to hurt yourself. So again, I cannot recommend this method to others, but I am going to demonstrate it because it will be seen in my other videos on numerous occasions. Stringing and unstringing. Very simple. The final method is the step-through method. The step-through method, well, I need to say one other thing about the push-pull method. On a long bow, you're not going to hurt a bow. not likely to with the push-pull, but with a recurve bow you can twist the limb. If you go to if you're pulling on this bow and you're not pulling in line, if you twist your wrist at all, that limb will warp or wrap around and twist on you. You can ruin the bow doing that with the recurve bow. The step through method, your string will be slack and you will step through the string and the bow with 1 foot. This method I don't recommend because it can damage the bow. If you have your leg or rear end down on the fade out, you will overflex the bottom limb and can damage the bow. But if you keep your leg on the handle section, and this is important, and if you pull in line with the proper follow and flex of the limb and don't twist it, I will place my wrist, the heel of my hand, just underneath the string groove, and as I push I will roll my hand up and I pop the string into position. You can also take your string off. Now you'll notice my leg is on this handle. It's not up here on the limb or down here on that limb. Check the bottom string, my leg in the right position, and flex the bow. Again, that method is just a method that can be used. It does not require a bow stringer, but it is potentially dangerous to the archer or even the bow, depending upon the design. Thank you for watching. Keep it simple archery. Have a nice day.